What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. As you can see, I'm in the studio. Got it open today. I don't know how consistent I'll be able to be in here. The problem is that to get into this room, they changed the system to get into here, and they haven't activated everyone's access yet, so you kind of need to have like a administrator literally get like a actual physical key to let me in here. So if I had to guess, some days I'll be in here, some days I won't be for probably the next month or so, maybe 5 weeks. Once classes start getting going again, it shouldn't be a problem, but I have no control over that. I thought it'd be fixed by now completely, and it's not. So again, what do I know? So let's get started, and we'll be standing. Let's do a little update as we are just past the All-Star break. Baltimore Orioles lead the American League East by 2 games. They're at 60 and 39. That makes them the best record in the American League. 2 games ahead of the New York Yankees. He continues to slump. 59-42 on the season. Right on the first wild card in the American League. Boston is in third. They are 6.5 games out of first and game out of a wild card. 53-45. Overall, they've been solid. You know, their pitching's been a lot better than expected, especially considering all the injuries. It's need to be a little more consistent at the plate. But the Rays are at 50-49. They're 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. You got Toronto's buried in last place at 45-54. They fall 9.5 games out of a wild card. They're pretty much out of the race. We'll see what happens with the demo with them. See if they move anybody. You know, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. obviously is a big piece that has been talked. I've heard he's probably not going to get moved, but you know, obviously a while back he had said I'd never play for the Yankees. He's kind of changed his stance, saying he'd be open to, you know, playing for somebody else, although he's happy in Toronto. So we'll see what happens. A lot of Yankee fans want Vlad. I doubt they're getting him, or anybody for that matter, but we'll see what happens. American League Central, Cleveland Guardians are in first place, 59-39. They've been struggling a little bit, though. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games. So they've been slumping a little bit as of late. Minnesota right now is 5 games behind them. They're tied for a wild card spot right now at 54-44. Tied with them is the Kansas City Royals, also 5 games out of the division, as also right and tied for wild card with the Minnesota Twins. You have Detroit at 49-51, playing decently well right now, but still 6 games out of a wild card. Obviously, there's been rumors about Tarek Scuba, their ace, who was an all-star this year, possibly getting moved. I heard he's probably not going to get moved. He's still got a couple years of control, I believe. But Troy is out of it. You know, he'd be a controllable piece. Maybe you think, all right, you know, we had to get a lot back from. You know, will we be in contention by the time, you know, we'll have to pay him? That's always the question when you have a team that, like Tigers, that's, you know, in rebuild mode. They're at least a year or 2 away, if not more, from contention. You have a really good young player who's got multiple years of control left. There's always questions. Teams are always going to call you about them. You think, all right, they're in Selma. Let's, you know, shoot for the biggest fish. You know, you always got a question. All right, will we be in contention by the time, you know, he hits free agency? If we are, okay, we should probably keep him, maybe even talking long-term extension to lock him down. If not, does it make sense to pay a guy if for most of his prime we're not going to be even in the playoffs? In that case, you might as well move him and get a ton back for him. So at least, you know, all right, yeah, you'll not be a good team for a couple of years, but at least now your future looks a little brighter. So that's always the big question. You know, the Chicago White Sox are at 27-74. That team is just so bad. And I don't even know why they have to sell at the deadline. I guess Tommy Pham, they'll flip him. I'm sure he's a solid veteran outfielder. Boost somebody's lineup, make someone a little depth in someone's lineup. But they're 27-74. They are 47 games under 500. If I did my math correct. 47 games under 500. 28.5 games out of the wild card and 33.5 games out of the division. We're not even out of the month of July. That's really scary. I don't think it can be that bad. They have a shot to be one of the worst teams ever. You're right. They have 74 losses right now. It's July 22nd. We have almost 2.5 months left. Like, that's crazy. They got the current pace they're on. You're right. They've played, 94, played 101 games. So they got 61 left. Like, they might not even get to 45 wins. I mean, the worst mark we've seen in recent years, the Orioles have done it twice. I think Detroit did it once. 47 wins, I think, and that came to 115 losses. I'm not even sure if they're going to get to that. They're going to lose 110 games. It's going to be hard for them to avoid losing 110 games. It's very, very, very bad. Team is awful. Look, I knew they'd be bad. I had them as one of the 3 worst teams in the league. I think I projected them. I'm pretty sure I had them like 59 wins or something. I had them losing 100 games this year, but I didn't think they push 115 losses. I think I think the record for most wins in the season is 114 or 116. They might get that in losses. That's scary. It's almost impressive, to be honest. American League West, Houston has tied the Seattle Mariners in first place. About 2 months ago, they were 10 games out. We're struggling. But they've turned it around. Rotation's gotten healthier. It's gotten better. Verlander should be coming back in a couple of weeks. Offensively, they've locked in a lot. Alvarez has gotten going. Bregman's gotten going. That bullpen is not great by any means, but honestly, if they pick up a bullpen piece, there's no reason why they can't be back in the World Series. I gotta be honest with their experience. In Seattle, they've been struggling. The problem is, look, their pitching staff is freaking amazing. They might have the worst offense in baseball. They're hitting, I think, 218 or 216 as a team. You know what's bad? When Julio Rodriguez, who's not even having a good year for his standard, I think he's hitting like 260 or 265 right now. And then as a team, they're hitting like 218. They just cut Ty France. 2 years ago, that guy was an all-star. He fell off a cliff last year, was hitting just 223 this year, and they just waived him. So what a fall from grace from that guy. So they need to get a bat or two to the deadline, otherwise they're going to collapse. Texas at 47-52. They're looking more and more like Severus by the day. That's the intriguing team. Remember, because they're coming off a World Series championship, but they're 7.5 games out of the wild card because their division isn't that good. They're only 5 games out of the division. You think Max Scherzer's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. Yes, he's 40 years old, but, not quite the same. But he's still a decent pitcher. Obviously, all of his postseason experience will be valuable to somebody's rotation. If the Volpe, I think, might be an impending UFA, or maybe has a year left. He's a really good starting pitcher. He's won 2 World Series, one in Boston, one last year with Texas. He's another really experienced postseason pitcher who's had success there. Very good starting pitcher. Could that be a guy that interests somebody? So it'll be very interesting to see what Texas does. Yeah, the Angels 42-57. They're really bad. And what do you expect when Ohtani left? And now, of course, Trout's hurt. The Oakland Athletics were at 39-62. Quite as bad as we all thought, but still not very good. And from what I'm hearing, Brent Rooker might get moved. By the way, how he wasn't an all-star is beyond me. I think at the break he had 21 bombs, 62 ribbies, and a 940 OPS. That shit that might be a federal crime that he's not an all-star. All-star game joke. But I can see him getting moved up. There's a lot of talk about Mason Miller. He's obviously their electric closer. He'll cost a lot. Controllable relievers do not grow on trees. But I guess they won't move him yet because they have time with him. Rooker, again, was one of those things. Yes, he's a very good player. They kind of got a late bloomer in him from last year. He's built off even more a strong year, best year of his career to that point. Now he's broken it last year. Obviously have an even better year this year. If they're not going to be in contention when he hits free agency, they should probably move him and get a hole back. Even if they will, knowing Oakland, they probably won't be willing to pay him, so you might as well move him. That's kind of what I'm looking at. But he'd be a big bat for someone who needs some oomph in the middle of their lineup. He'd be a really good addition. The Philadelphia Phillies have the best record in baseball. We shift to National League. They lead the National League East by 8.5 games. They continue to roll. Atlanta's at 54-44. We haven't been as good as we thought. Obviously, Acuna towards ACL for the second time in I think 3 years, or took them 3 years or 4 years. And Matt Olson has regressed a lot. Orlando Arcia, who was an all-star last year, has not had a good year at all. He's been terrible. Outside of Marcelo Ozuna, there's a lot of guys not hitting the back of their baseball card right now. If the Mets 15-48, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Marlins. It's a shame. Marlins had the Mets very tough every time for some reason. But look, they're hanging in there. They've obviously turned around after a really bad start to the season. You started 0-5. I thought the season was over. They were 10 under 500 heading into June. But, late in July here, they are tied for wildcard spot, so hanging in there. Their offense, which has been struggling a little bit as of late, Alonso's in a slump, J. Martinez is in a slump, but has turned it around for the most part. And their starting pitching has actually overall been solid lately. That bullpen is just so bad. But I think Kawhi Senga looks like he's coming back Friday, which will be a nice boost for the Mets. I wonder who they'll move out of the rotation. Will they send Scott down? Will they send Pierce down, put him in the bullpen? Interesting to see what they do. That's another interesting team about the deadline. I'm hearing that they're looking to buy for some bullpen up, which I think they should do. But they have a lot of pieces to sell. Obviously, Alonso's going to be a free agent. Jose Quintana could help someone's rotation. Luis Severino could help someone's rotation. So we'll see what happens. Reed Garrett could help someone's bullpen. If he's healthy, we'll see what happens. Washington, 4-7-53. I mean, Nationals is really bad. They're 6 games under 500, and they're 4 games out of a spot. So, interesting to see what they do, but deadline. And the Marlins at 35-64 are very bad. National League Central, Milwaukee Brewers, 57-42. Obviously, they've been a big surprise this year. You have the Cardinals at 5 games out of the division, or game and a half ahead of the third wildcard teams. They're the second wildcard in the National League right now. Another team got off to a rough start. And that team is really old. Their average age is 31. That team is ancient. But they're playing well enough to be in the playoffs right now. You have the Pirates at 15-49. They've been playing really well. Only a half game out. Paul Skeens might lead them to the playoffs. You have the Cubs at 48-53. 3.5 games out of a spot. I heard they're listing on a lot of different pieces. Cody Bellinger is going to be a free agent. We'll see if they move him. He doesn't have the year he had last year, but he hasn't been bad by any means. I heard Justin Steele, who's a really good starting pitcher, it could be on the table. I heard they're at least listening on him, so we'll see what happens there. And the Reds have the same record as they're a half game back of the Cubs, 4-7-53, 4 games out of a spot. National League West, you have the Dodgers, 59-41. I think their resume speaks to themselves. And that's with all their pitching injuries, and they're getting Clayton Kershaw back this week, so that'll help for sure. You have Arizona, 51-49. Played a little bit better after a really rough start, as they've actually gotten themselves tied for a wildcard spot. They're tied for the last spot with the Mets, as well as the San Diego Padres, who are at 52-50. I said before, if you were casual and you just glance up their roster, you think this team should be a World Series contender. Then you see they're 2 games over 500. Like, what's going on? But that's where they are. Obviously, they're missing Fernando Tatis for now. He's still a couple weeks away, it looks like. But Giants are at 48-52. But 3 games out of the wild card because in that jumbo National League, and they're 4 games under 500. So Bob Alvin just got thrown out at the freaking plate meeting the other day. I think it was yesterday, which was kind of funny. And the Rockies at 36-64. I'm convinced the owner does not know, even what time their team is playing. They're so relevant. They are beyond irrelevant. All right, so there's a couple of extensions in the NBA. The big one was Cleveland Cavaliers extending Evan Mobley on a rookie max scale extension. He gets 5 years, $224 million, up to $269 million. I think this is a good move. Mobley's a very good young player, still only going to be 23 years old next year. He averaged 15 points, 9 rebounds last year. So 58% from the field, 37 from 3, 71 from the line, almost a block and a half a game. He's a really underrated player. One of the best defenders in the NBA. He's been Defensive Player of the Year finalist before. Good scorer. His three-point shot has come a long way. And like I said, obviously around the rim, he's dominant. He's a really good young player. Still only going to be 23 years old, going into his 4th season. So Cavaliers lock him down. This comes only a couple weeks after they lock down All-NBA shooting guard Donovan Mitchell on a 4-year extension worth over $200 million as well. And the Boston Celtics extend Sam Hauser 4 years, $45 million. Hauser last year as a role player for the Celtics averaged 9 points a game, shot 44 from the field, 42 for 89 from the line. The guy's just a really good shooter to have on your bench. Perfect fit for the Celtics, and they lock him down. Boston did a really good job keeping this core together. Obviously, you gave Brown a 5-year deal worth over $300 million last year. You gave Tatum the $300 million extension this year for 5 years. Porzingis got a 2-year extension after getting traded last year. You give Derek White a 4-year extension about a month back. You gave Drew Holiday a 4-year extension during the season. And now Sam Hauser's a guy you give a 4-year extension. He's another role piece you have. Role player you have. Peyton Pritchard's another role player you have. You give him a 4-year extension about a year ago. Al Horford will re-sign 1-year deals until his career is over there. So this entire team is just going to keep coming back every year. So kudos to Brad Stevens, who's done a phenomenal job running that organization. All right, a couple of storylines in the NFL. Training camp is upon us. Shaq Barrett has been retiring after 9 seasons in the NFL. He had a nice career in Tampa. He started in Denver, then he led the league in sacks once or twice. He was an All-Pro for a couple of years. Last year, declined a lot, only had 4.5 sacks. Tampa let him go. Miami had picked him up, but he decided last minute to call it wraps on his career. And the Green Bay Packers extend Kenny Clark of 3 years, $64 million, for around $29 million this year. He's become one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL over the last bunch of years. Last year, 7.5 sacks, 22 tackles, and 2 forced fumbles. He's a really good piece to have in the middle of your defensive line, and Green Bay locks him down. He's been with Green Bay his whole career. It's got to be going on about 10, 11 years at this point. By the way, Jordan Love, apparently they are close on an extension, but Love is holding out until he gets one. But that looks like it's going to have to get done sooner rather than later. The Houston Texans, Joe Mixon didn't practice today. Yesterday, last night, they signed Cam Akers, former Rams back, to a 1-year deal. So I'm not sure if they knew maybe Mixon was nicked up, so they brought him in for that just in case. But keep your eye on that. Especially if you're a fantasy or you own Joe Mixon, make sure he's okay. Whether could Cam Akers possibly be his handcuff this year with Devin Singletary now with the Giants and Dameon Pierce? I think he's pretty good, but he lost a little. He didn't get able to carry last year, especially getting hurt. So now you have Mixon, who you're paying $1 million a year. So obviously, I'm sure he will get the bulk of the work. All right, so let's continue my NFL offseason series. Plans to finish that Wednesday if everything goes according to plan. Plans to do 4 teams today and do 3 Tuesday and Wednesday, and that'll be it. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, they actually had a killer offseason. You bring in Saquon Barkley, who obviously went healthy, is a great running back. Now he's got a much better offensive line in front of him. As we obviously saw that unfold in the offseason. We've seen it now unfold. We saw the behind-the-scenes stuff on Hard Knocks, the Giants, over the last few weeks. Gave him a 3-year deal. Added him to their team. They had a nice draft. You get Quinn Mitchell, I think, is a really good young corner in the first round of a draft. And then they got Cooper DeJean in the second round, absolute steal. I think he's going to be very good. And a lot of people were a little unsure about him because I think a lot of teams saw him as a safety, but he lets himself as a corner. He can play both, honestly. Reed Blake, in terms of the youngster you have there, I think he's got some potential. And obviously losing Jason Kelce is a big loss, one of the best centers of all time. Just a little leader. I heard he's been in their facility a lot this offseason. Lane Johnson, of course, his longtime teammate, the right tackle, said that he definitely could see him getting into coaching. Obviously he's got his pocket. We have his brother Travis. He was hired by ESPN to be on Monday Night Countdown. So, I don't know how he'd have time to be a coach, but I think he has the X's and O's knowledge to be one, so we'll see what happens. But look, Eagles on paper have a really, really good team, but they had one last year too, and we saw how that collapsed. Hopefully Sirianni fixes his staff by, he brought in Kellen Moore to be his offensive coordinator. He brought in Dick Fanger to be his defensive coordinator, but if things go according to plan, they could be in the Super Bowl. But if they collapse again, then also you have to be like, ooh, this team's got a lot of problems. We'll see what happens with the Philadelphia Eagles. Next is the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Jacksonville, they do lose a couple of receivers. You lose Calvarelli, he signs in Tennessee. You also lose, you let go of Zay Jones. You did draft Brian Thomas in the first round. I like that pick. I think he's got potential to be a receiver 1. Obviously, we don't know if he can because he was a 2 at LSU because he played next to Blake Neighbors, who was the best receiver in the country last year. Was the 6th pick from the draft by the Giants. But he is really, really good. They have a solid team on paper overall. Now you had Eric Armstead up front on your defensive line. That should help. Obviously, you lock up Trevor Lawrence, 5 years, $275 million. Look, he hasn't played to that yet, but he was general talent when he came out. So, they're hoping he can transfer into a star this year. On paper, they have a really good team, but there's just nothing they do exceptionally well. They have a good squad. I don't know if they have a great squad, but they need Lawrence to take the next step. It's as simple as that. And next up is the Seattle Seahawks. They were a little quieter in the offseason. Didn't do a whole lot. Obviously, the whole big thing was the coaching change. You let go of Pete Carroll after 14 years. Bring in Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald to be your next head coach. Yeah, that's a big score. Obviously, you trade for Sam Howell, give up a third, 3 and a 5 for him. We'll see if he eventually gets a shot. Obviously, right now, Geno Smith is their starter. You let go of a couple of guys in your secondary, also Jamal Adams, who doesn't really have anything left. You let go of Quandre Diggs as well. But you have two really good young corners in Devin Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen, who Woolen regressed a little bit from his rookie year, but still a lot of potential there. And obviously, Witherspoon had a great rookie season. You drafted, you got a big piece up front. I think might have been, not Laitu Latu, but forgot who exactly they drafted. I think it might have, Verse went to the Rams. I believe it was Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle of Texas you draft. So you still have Leonard Williams, he's re-signed for 3 years as well. So if they can get a legit pass rush, they could be in good shape. So we'll see what happens with them. And last but not least, the Denver Broncos, who might be the worst team in the league. I mean, their quarterback room is ugly. I mean, you're paying Russell Wilson almost money to play for another team this year or next year. You traded them away for nothing. You picked up Zach Wilson from the Jets. So that's supposed to be a reclamation project, I guess. I don't know. Quarterback room is a rookie, first-rounder Bo Nix, Zach Wilson, and Jarrett Stidham. That's not great. Now, you trade Jerry Jeudy away to Cleveland. There's nothing really good happening in the offseason. I gotta be honest. It seems to be really bad. Sean Payton's not gonna save it, I don't think. They might win 3 games this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they went 2-15, honestly. They are very, very bad. Congratulations to the MLB Hall of Fame of 2024. Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, Todd Helton, and Jim Leyland. Beltre, one of the greatest third basemen of all time. He started, I think, in Seattle or maybe the Dodgers. He was at Boston for a while. Of course, ended his career for a very long time with the Texas Rangers. Great third baseman, mashed to play, was a good defender in his prime. Obviously, he's famous for not allowing us to touch his head. He was sensitive that way. You saw at the Hall of Fame ceremony, Ortiz touched his head. They were teammates in Boston. That was fine. So, congratulations to him. Joe Mauer, one of the greatest hitting catchers of all time with the Minnesota Twins. Todd Helton, maybe the greatest Colorado Rockies player ever. Big part of their National League pennant team. I think that was in 2005 or something like that. Great first baseman, one of the greatest, off at the first baseman ever. And Jim Leyland, one of the greatest managers in MLB history. He won a World Series in '97 with the then Florida Marlins. He won 3 division titles with the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's very impressive with how bad the Pirates are. He was with Detroit for a while. He was in the World Series, I think in 2011 or something like that with Detroit. He's one of 11 managers to take 3 different teams to the playoffs. Great manager, great man. He coached the USA team for a while as well. That is your MLB Hall of Fame class of 2024. Congratulations to Xander Schauffele on winning the Open, his second major this year. He also won the PGA Championship this year. That'll definitely put him in contention for Player of the Year. I'm sure he will be on the Ryder Cup team next year. I'm sure he'll be on the President's Cup team this year. So congratulations to him as he wins his second career major. And last but not least, Bobby Lashley was just removed from the WWE roster. Internally, his contract expired, so I don't know if they're going to renegotiate or what, but as of right now, he's no longer on the roster. This is it for him. He's had a hell of a career. Definitely a Hall of Famer. To shame him, his faction with him and the Street Profits didn't have more success than it did. It's a shame. I mean, look, I think they need to get months for the singles run, so hopefully they do that sooner rather than later. And the one that really hurts me is the Hurt Business. Obviously, Vince definitely pulled the plug on that. That's one of the many mistakes he made toward the end of his creative tenure. Not giving them a real shot that had a lot of potential. MVP is no longer with the company either, which is a shame. But as of right now, Bobby Lashley is no longer with WWE. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.